Hello everyone, I'm Arrow Saturn, and welcome to a video I feel like I've been promising for about 10 years now. This video is the 2023 Mega Catch-Up video, where I talk about a bunch of movies that I wanted to talk about but just didn't get the chance to back in 2023. Now, the way we are going to do this is, and since I reviewed a lot of non-2023 movies last year, we are basically going to act like the reviews in this video are replacing those non-2023 reviews. Hopefully this makes more sense as we get farther into this video. So yeah, I'm not going to waste any more time. We have 33 movies to talk about. So yeah, without further ado, taking the place of my Director by Night 2022 review is Missing, a surprisingly super fun mystery thriller with what I believe to have Storm Reid's best performance I've ever seen from her, a compelling and really tense mystery to unravel, a legitimately shocking twist, and a really unique way of telling a story like this, only being told through FaceTimes and screen recordings. I went in with super low expectations, and I came out pleasantly surprised with this one. Taking the place of my PG Psycho Goreman 2021 review is Creed 3, and even though I haven't seen the other Creed movies, I enjoyed this one. Michael B. Jordan's character is super likable, Jonathan Majors is super intimidating as the main villain, they had great chemistry together, and I really enjoyed the boxing scenes and the way they were filmed. They had such a fun, fast-paced, kinetic energy to them, especially that final fight. Now, I will say that the pace feels a bit too slow at times, and it doesn't really feel as exciting or as tense the whole way through like I kind of wanted it to be. But other than that, this was really fun. Michael B. Jordan did a great job for his first time in the directing chair, and now I need to go watch the first two Creed movies. Taking the place of my Leprechaun 1993 review is 65, and this movie is probably the definition of mid. I really liked this movie's concept, it's really fun, I just wish they did a lot more with it, and I really liked the cast. Adam Driver is always giving it his all, but I honestly really just wanted this movie to get weirder or wilder, instead of being a slow-paced, boring waste of potential version of a great concept that unfortunately feels like a lot of other sci-fi movies before it. I definitely didn't despise this movie like how a lot of other people felt about it, but I was left disappointed, and I probably will never watch this again. Taking the place of my Killer Clowns from Outer Space 1988 review is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And much like my feelings on 65, I just felt like this movie was the definition of fine. Fine acting, fine story, fine villains, fine special effects, fine humor, fine emotional moments, fine action scenes. Everything in this movie really is just fine. I really respect the director David F. Sandberg a lot, but I understand why he's going back to making horror movies after this unfortunately nothing special superhero movie. Taking the place of my Lord of the Rings trilogy review is Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, and I thought this movie was both fun but also kind of disappointing. I like everyone in this cast, I loved the practical effects, and I do love a pure fun adventure movie. Of course, I'm not putting down a good time, but the comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy are undeniable, and honestly, I just wish this movie was funnier for me. The graveyard scene is easily the best and funniest part of the whole movie, but unfortunately for me personally, nothing ever really reaches those same heights again. I hope the sequel comes out so they can definitely improve. Taking the place of my Deadstream 2022 review is Chupa, and I thought this movie was really fun. Sure, the complaints from people saying that this is just E.T. in Mexico are completely valid, but I think that just proves that this formula really works. I loved the strong family dynamic. I like having the main character meet his cousins he's never met before, and they are actually really nice to him instead of being really mean. And this does have a lot of that 90s family movie charm to it that does make it a lot of fun to watch. I think my only complaints is that this movie has an absolutely terrible main villain, and I do wish that the titular Chupa creature was a practical effect creature like a puppet or something, instead of being a fully CGI'd creature, because I think that would have really helped with the vibe that this fun movie is going for. Taking the place of my Critters 2 1988 review is Rye Lane, and I really enjoyed this. For this being a romantic comedy, it is shot beautifully, the lighting is so vibrant, the cinematography feels strangely earnest, and there are some legitimately super creative ways to tell this simple story. That scene in the theater was one of my favorite scenes from any movie from 2023. Now, I will say that I enjoyed this movie way more when it was just these two amazing actors hanging out with each other. When the stereotypical fight, then break up, then get back together again scene happens, it feels way less fun and creative, and I definitely felt a lot less invested. But other than that, this is definitely a hidden gem from 2023. Taking the place of my Ghost Train 2013 review is Beau is Afraid. And honestly, I watched this movie a few months ago and I still don't really know how I fully feel about it yet. The first hour and a half of this was so anxiety-inducing and I felt so damn uncomfortable the whole time, but the second half really dragged, so I really don't think this needed to be 3 hours long at all. And I loved all the technical aspects of this movie, like the camera work, the production design, and of course the performances, but I have absolutely no desire to watch this again because when I finally finished it, I just felt sick, depressed, and honestly kind of empty. And I know that may be the whole point, I know that's kind of Ari Aster's whole vibe, but personally, that isn't something that I really like to watch. Taking the place of my Count Me In 2021 review is The Pope's Exorcist, and man, this movie really is just dumb fun. It's not scary whatsoever. Russell Crowe seems like he doesn't care, but is also having so much fun in this role, and the strange mix of like an Indiana Jones archaeological mystery mixed with over-the-top exorcism was a lot more fun than I ever thought it was going to be. This is like the definition of a turn your brain off and just have fun kind of movie. Taking the place of my 2022 review is Blackberry. This was a really interesting and eye-opening biopic about the downfall of the BlackBerry company. Great performances all around, I loved the way it's filmed, and even though I do feel like the pace is a bit too slow, it is truly fascinating to see the absolutely insane rise and fall of one of the past titans of phone designers. Taking the place of my Dave Made a Maze 2017 review is Knights of the Zodiac. And if you really just want to know the quality of this movie, they have Sean Bean playing the mentor character, and of course when he eventually dies, it is played completely straight and completely unironically. This is a super bland and boring version of an anime that seems so much more fun and interesting than this boring piece of garbage. Taking the place of my VHS 2012 review is The Last Repair Shop. This is obviously the documentary short that won that award at the Oscars this year, and I can see why. This is a super heartfelt documentary all about the people who repair instruments for kids in the LA school district. The score absolutely slapped, the sound design was so crisp, and I love how they did an interview with someone who works there and why they did what they were doing. Then they would do an interview with a kid who loves their instrument. It made my heart warm. The ending also definitely got me as well. Taking the place of my Mass Hysteria 2019 review is Cobweb, and as a horror fan, I really enjoyed this. Anthony Starr made me so uneasy, the mystery was really fun, and the twist was really great as well. This felt like a really cool throwback to old school Hades horror, which of course, as you guys know, I absolutely love. The only really thing I didn't really like was how this movie just abruptly ended, but other than that, this is a pretty good horror film. Taking the place of my Meet Friend 2022 review is The Little Mermaid remake, and this definitely isn't the worst live-action remake so far, but it also isn't that great either. Halle Bailey is great as Ariel, I liked the neon underwater colors, and I like that they gave Prince Eric more of a character, but the musical segments are lifeless, the new songs add absolutely nothing, the character designs for the fish honestly just suck, the rest of the cast is either mid or just plain bad, and this definitely didn't need to be as long as it is. If you want to watch this one, don't, and just watch the better original. Taking the place of my Host 2022 review is They Cloned Tyrone. This is a really fun sci-fi comedy thriller all about experimentation and cloning, with a great cast of likable characters and actors, a compelling mystery that does keep you guessing, and great humor as well. The biggest compliment I can give to this movie is it feels like a really good, classic Twilight Zone episode. Taking the place of my Let the Right One In 2008 review is Stan Lee, a really engaging documentary about the man, the myth himself. I liked hearing about how he grew up, the business decisions he made in the comic book industry, and of course how he came up with all these iconic characters. Also, this documentary has a very fun model style to tell this story as well. Taking the place of my Uncle Sam 1996 review is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And besides the FNAF movie and another Disney movie we are going to talk about in a sec, this is one of my least favorite movies that came out last year. For an Indiana Jones movie, the adventure is just not engaging, the runtime is way too long, the flashback takes way too much time to get to the actual point, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character is actually awful, and of course I put no blame on the actress, I blame all of this on the writers, and it honestly also has a truly horrible ending as well. This was honestly such a boring and disappointing watch, and I watched this on a plane, so what does that tell you? We're turning the lights on because it's getting a bit too dark, but taking the place of my 100 Years of Cinema, an extraordinary tribute review is Nimona. This is a great little animated movie that has really likable characters. I thought the character of Nimona would be super annoying, but she really wasn't. Really great voice acting, stellar animation that is able to distance itself enough away from looking like a Spider-Verse clone, and a really engaging story as well. The more that has passed since I watched this, the more I have grown to love it. Taking the place of my Mad God 2022 review is Insidious: The Red Door. This is a super unengaging horror movie where the mystery the main characters are trying to solve throughout the entire movie is established to the audience at the very beginning, which was super lame and just had me wanting the characters to figure everything out already. It's not scary, the mystery itself isn't even that interesting, the most cheap jump scares I've seen in a while, and it doesn't even have fun James Wan direction to make it at least a little bit fun. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Taking the place of my Skeleton Dance 1929 review is Theater Camp. This is a movie with a really fun premise, but I just felt like it didn't quite go there as much as it should have. Maybe it's because I'm just not a theater kid, but I found this movie really not that funny when it really should have been funnier, and even though I did really like the ending, the whole experience really just didn't quite click with me as much as I really wanted it to. Taking the place of my VHS 2 2013 review is Haunted Mansion. Hint, hint, by the way, this is the other Disney movie I hated from 2023. I really hoped this would be a fun, kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean type vibe, but this is filled with single-handedly the worst written dialogue I may have ever heard in a movie. This was another movie I watched on a plane, and I actively wanted to jump out of the plane because the cringiest humor I may have ever heard was honestly daring me to do that. This should have been fun, but due to the writing, it's an absolute pain to watch. Taking the place of my Creepshow Holiday Special 2020 is The Last Voyage of the Demeter, a surprisingly great horror film from a chapter from Bram Stoker's Dracula. It has great gore, fun character actors, a lot of great suspense, and a really great ship set as well. I think I am really starting to realize that I will love any vampire movie, and that of course will not change with this one. Taking the place of my Creepshow Animated Special 2020 review is Suzumi, a beautifully animated anime film with one of the main characters being turned into a chair, great metaphors for natural disasters, and incredibly strong emotional moments. I definitely teared up quite a bit at the end. This is one of those movies that you think won't work, but absolutely does. Taking the place of my Slaughterhouse 2019 review is, ironically, Slaughterhouse. This is a slasher movie with a killer puppet sloth and a sorority. What more do you want me to say? Watch it right now. Taking the place of my VHS Viral 2014 review is the One Piece live action show. Now, I knew nothing about One Piece going in, and I came out a total fan. This show was just such an absolute joy to watch. The cast is so endearing, the production design is incredible, the makeup, the costumes, everything just has so much love poured into it, and it really shows. And sure, I can say some of the CGI looks a little iffy at some points, but you know what? I didn't care. This show was so much fun. Wish me luck if I ever try to watch the actual anime. Taking the place of my SMG4 movie Revelations 2022 review is Dumb Money, a very cool biopic about how one streamer by the name of Roaring Kitty changed GameStop stock forever. The cast was really great. Paul Dano is so endearing as the main character, and the fact that this was all kind of a real story outside of most of the side characters, which is fine, they show the point of how big this really was honestly really cool to learn about. I went back and saw some of Roaring Kitty's old videos after seeing this, which was honestly really fun to see. Taking the place of my Siren 2016 review is VHS 85, another great installment in this great horror series. The first story about an earthquake was super claustrophobic and had a cool twist. The second story with the early versions of VR was probably my least favorite, but it was still pretty good. The third story had such a fun concept, and the two surrounding stories were easily my favorites. The one about Stranger Things-esque scientists conducting experiments on a weird blob was really cool, and the story about kids encountering a strange lake was so awesome and had such a cool way to end the story. Easily my favorite segment out of the bunch. I am very much looking forward to the new one coming out later this year. Taking the place of my The Hug 2018 review is Caddiehack, a movie that is so aware that it's a bad movie it almost hurts. So many sex jokes, insane sound effects, the most hilarious looking Donald Trump wig, the best musical number ever created, and really fun blood and gore. This movie is one of the most insane, so bad it's good movies I have ever seen, and I will definitely watch this again. Maybe tonight, or maybe tomorrow night, maybe the next night, or maybe the next night, maybe the next night, maybe the next night, maybe the Taking the place of my Willy's Wonderland 2021 review is The Burial, a super underrated, gripping courtroom dramedy with a possible career best performance from Jamie Foxx, infectious chemistry from both Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones, incredibly sharp writing, witty humor, and the fact that this story is based on a true story, with of course some dramatized events, makes it that much cooler. This may have gone under a lot of your radars, so if you missed this, definitely don't sleep on it. Taking the place of my VHS 94 2021 review is Next Goal Wins. Now after the dreadful Thor Love and Thunder, I really didn't think this was going to be very good at all, but this was so much better than I ever could have thought it would be. This is another based on a true story movie about the world's worst soccer team and their rise after hiring a new coach. This has great performances from everyone. Michael Fassbender is still the best straight man, and of course that does not change here. Very heartwarming, emotional moments about teamwork and accepting who you are, and actually really funny humor that does not rely on screaming goats. If you lost your faith in Taika after Thor 4, you might be pleasantly surprised with this one. Taking the place of my Pingu's The Thing 2020 review is The Killer, the newest from David Fincher that stars Michael Fassbender as, of course, a cold-blooded killer. This is like the perfect role for Fassbender, and he plays it so well. This has amazingly precise sound design, and honestly a pretty engaging story, even though you feel so distant from the main character. This whole movie felt like ASMR with a plot, and honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. Taking the place of my VHS 99 2022 review is Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget, the long-awaited sequel to the first Chicken Run with amazing stop-motion animation from Aardman, good voice acting, a fun break-in heist plot, and kind of a messed-up plot if you just don't think about it too much. And finally, taking the place of my Treevenge 2008 review is the other 3 Wes Anderson Roald Dahl shorts that he made for Netflix. And yes, we did turn the lights back off for this final review. Of course, all 3 of these shorts have all of Wes Anderson's usual pros, great actors and performances, amazing and detailed production design, dynamic camera movements, and very dry and witty dialogue. The first short, called The Swan, I found to be incredibly engaging and was probably my favorite story out of the bunch. The second short, called The Rat Catcher, was probably my least favorite, but it was still pretty cool. I liked how near the end it starts to look like an old school 40s and 50s style horror movie. And the final short, called Poison, was honestly so tense and nail-biting. And also, when are you ever going to get the chance to see Benedict Cumberbatch, Ben Kingsley, and Dev Patel in a short film together? Besides, of course, the Henry Sugar short, also done by Wes Anderson. I love this stage play-like style he decided to do with all these. I don't think they would be as engaging to me if they weren't done that way, and I actually chuckled quite a few times as well. If you want me to quickly rank all of them, I would say Poison takes first place, The Swan takes second place, and The Ratcatcher takes third place, but they are all definitely worth your time. Well everyone, that's it. After almost 40 Hawaiian shirts, this video that I feel like I've been promising for 10 years now is officially done and out in the world. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm kind of experimenting with longer form content on this channel, so I hope this was enjoyable and worth that 10-year-long wait. Obviously I'm joking about that of course, but it feels like it has been about a decade since I said I wanted to make this video at all, even though I've only been on YouTube for about a year and a half now. Also, if there was any movie I missed in this video, it was either A, because I just didn't get the chance to see it, B, because I didn't really want to review too many movies in this video, or C, I have plans to review it in future videos. Please like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and is there anything else I need to say? No?